Okay. Masechet Chagiga, Daf Chav Daled Amud Bet, 24B3 in the Art Scrolls English edition, and we're going to start. So, the last Mishnah we had in the Masechta dealt with the differences between Truma and Kodesh, right, Korbanot, in the regards of their stringencies of Tumah v'Tahara. And we saw 10 to 11 differences in the previous Mishnah, of where Kodesh was treated more strict than Truma. This Mishnah gives us an example of where Truma is more strict, so to speak, compared to Kodesh. What's the case? Chomer b'Truma. There's a stringency of Truma. Shibihuda ne'emanin al taharot yain v'shemin kol yimot hashana. If an Am Aretz, someone who is not careful with halacha, brings wine or oil to the mikdash all year, we accept it from them. Okay? We accept it from them. We use it. Two reasons. One is that if we don't accept it from them, they're going to go somewhere else. They might make their own mikdash, right? We saw that already. And the other reason is because they themselves know that they're bringing up to the mikdash, they have to be careful. And we're going to trust that for them. But an Am Haaretz who wants to give truma, we don't accept it from them all the time. With shat hagitot v'habadim af ala truma. When it comes to truma, we only accept it from the Am Haaretz to give to a Kohen who is a chaver, someone who is careful in halacha, only during the pressing season of the olive pressing and the pressing season of the wine pressing. Why? Because at that time, the Am Haaretz, the regular people, know that they have to do it b'tahara. The chaverim come around, they help them being mitahar things, and therefore, if it was given at the time of the pressing, when the Am Haaretz is usually more careful, and we don't want the Kohen Chaver to lose out from fresh produce as truma, so therefore the Chachamim allowed the Am Haaretz to give truma during the pressing time where they are more careful with tuma v'tahara. So here you have a case of where a stringency of truma is that the Am Haaretz cannot give the truma throughout the whole year, just during the pressing season. Whereas by Kodesh, it is more lenient because you can accept it from them anytime. Now, what happens? Avru hagitot v'habadim v'heviu lo chavit shel yain shel truma. Let's say the wine pressing season ended, the oil pressing season ended, and the Am Haaretz comes now and he wants to give a barrel of truma to the Kohen who is a chaver. Lo yikabelena mimenu. The Kohen chaver cannot accept it from him. Can't accept it from him because it's not the pressing season. And the Chacham said only during the pressing season we can consider the Am Haaretz to give it in tahara. And now it's not, so you cannot take it. Now, what about, we're worried, if you don't tell the Kohen doesn't take it, he'll go somewhere else. Yes, he'll go somewhere else. Where he'll go? He'll go to a Kohen who is not a chaver, who's not careful in halacha, and he'll give it to him. Okay, but what else can be done? Aval menicha lagat haba. Interestingly, the Am Haaretz can keep the produce, if it's able to be preserved, he's able to keep it to the next pressing season, okay? And then during the pressing season, he can present it to the chaver. And during that time, you're allowed to accept it. Even though it's not from that pressing season, you can still accept it because during the pressing season, we assume that everything is tahar. The aim Amar Lo, in another case, if the Am Haaretz tells to the Kohen who is a chaver, Hifrashti letocha revi'it kodesh ne'eman. If he says, in this barrel that I'm giving you as the wine for truma, I also have kodesh in there. But since he's always believed on kodesh throughout the entire year, he will be believed to say that the kodesh is tar. If the kodesh is tar, even the truma is tar. What about the idea everything is mixed up? How can someone take truma from something that also has kodesh in there? So someone is saying that no, the truma is the wine and the kodesh is the oil, and the oil floats on the top, so it doesn't really mix. So one can take one or the other. Another way to explain this Gemara is to say that that he is planning to give. If he's planning to give, he's saying, listen, I have this barrel here, and I'm planning to give kodesh from there, right? So since he's planning to give kodesh from there, then it means it's tar, okay? And therefore, if it's tar, the truma is also tar. Okay, continues the Mishnah. Kedei yain v'chadei shaman. What about the jugs of wine and the jugs of oil that is brought that have what inside it? Hamedumaot, that has a mixture in it. We're going to see it's going to have a mixture of chulin, truma, and kodesh. So it does have kodesh in there. Ne'eman aleim mishati gitot abadim. We trust them that the kalim are also tahor during the wine pressing and olive pressing season, but not after that. V'kodem legita, or v'kodem, and before that, shiv'im yom. We assume that the pots are clean and the stuff are also for 70 days, because they prepare their pots for the tahara that they're going to get in it, the food they're going to get in it, and therefore 70 days prior to the pressing season and during the pressing season, the pots are going to be tahar. Okay. Now, that was the Mishnah. We're going to start the Gemara. The Gemara is going to analyze every piece of this Mishnah. So we start off. The Mishnah said, Behuda in, implying Uvegalil lo. The Mishnah said, in Yehuda, if the Amoritz brings Kodesh the whole year, we accept it. If they give Truma during the pressing season, we accept it. Why it says Yehuda and not Galil? Galil was another portion in Eretz Yisrael. Tama, what's the reason? Amarish Lakish, my Tama, Amarish Lakish, Mipnei Sheritzuah Shel Kutim Mafseket Benehen. There was the Kutim, the Kuthins, the Samaritans. They were a group of people that were brought into Israel, and they had a fake conversion. Later found out that they were serving the Zara. And so there is a din that the Chum put in place that anywhere that is a Gaisha land, the land itself is mitame. The land is mitame. And now what happens? The Galil, to go from the Galil to go from the Galil to the to Yehuda, you have to go past this Samaritan place. And if you pass the Samaritan place, then it's going to become automatically tameh. So therefore, the Mishnah did not say anything about Galil, because Galil was a non-starter, because the only way to get from Galil to Judea was to go through the land of the Kutim, and the land of the Kutim are off limits, and they're off limits, and therefore it only said Yehuda. So the Gemara's question is, V'neita b'shida teva u'migdal, let them bring the produce in a carriage trunk or closet, basically in a separate ohel. Put it inside a moving tent, okay? So it's not, so it's protected from the outside tumah, and this way you can get the products into Judea, right, into Jerusalem. So the Gemara says, Hamani, who's the Tana of our Mishnah that says you can't do this? Rabbi Yehuda. It's Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rabbi He, it's Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Rabbi He, the Amar, oil, Zaruk, Loishime oil. If an ohel moves, it's not considered a ohel. If it's a moving tent, it's not considered a tent. The Tanya, Anichler le'eretz ha'amim, b'shidat teva u'migdal, right? Rabbi mitameh. Rabbi says he still becomes tameh. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, mitaher. But Rabbi Yossi, son of Yehuda, he says that, you stay tar. So it is a machlokes. It's a machlokes Rabbi and Rabbi Yossi. So here you cannot put it in the barrel in the extra tent and move it, because according to Yehuda, it's not going to be considered a separate tent. It's going to still become mitameh. The Rambam brings down the halacha like Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, and therefore you cannot put it in a tent. So the Gemara says maybe you can do another way. You can bring it. Put it in an earthenware keli. We know that an earthenware keli, you cannot be mitama from the outside. So secure it, seal it, make sure there's no opening, put everything inside this earthenware keli, and move this keli. And you cannot be mitama the keli from the outside, only from the inside, from the airspace. So I'm Lezer, true, but Shonin, we learned in the Braita, Ein HaKodesh Nitzul Mitzabit Patil. Since Kodesh is so holy, somehow the tumah does go through the earthenware vessel, even with it sealed with the cover, and therefore it will not help, and there's no way to get it in. Tanya, the Gemara says, well, hold on. Maybe it does help by Kodesh to have a sealed earthenware keli, because it says, En chatat nitzelet b'tzamit patil. My love, HaKodesh nitzol. There's a Braita that says, if you have the chatat waters, the paradumo ashes mixed with the water, and it's inside earthenware keli, that doesn't protect it. Earthenware keli that seal doesn't protect the chatat waters. The chatat waters it doesn't protect, but perhaps it protects kodesh. No, don't learn it that way. Look, it simply implies that waters that are not yet prepared, they're prepared, they're not yet mixed with the ashes. And if they were in an earthenware keli, they're going to be okay. But if it's already mixed, then it's not going to be okay. So the question the Mefarshim deal with is, what happens if I don't say it's going to be for the Mikdash? I don't say it's going to be Kodesh. And I want to move Chulin, okay, in an earthenware keli. And I move the Chulin in an earthenware keli. And then once I get past through the land of the Kutins, the land of the Samaritans, I say, now it's Kodesh, right? If it's Chulin, it can't, the earthenware keli protects it. And now I want to get Kodesh. The Parashim is saying you cannot do that. You cannot do that. Once it's going, that same produce is going to become, it's going to become it's going to become the Kodesh, even though it was before it was Kodesh, it became on top of the land of the Goyim. So it's not going to be good afterwards. What about this case of the Chatat waters? Chatat waters seems to be okay. Chatat water seems that as long as it wasn't mixed with the ashes, so perhaps one can say its state changes, right? Here it's the same exact thing by the produce. It's the same wheat, it's the same oil, it's the same wine. Nothing's changing. And it was chulin, now it's kodesh. No, the fact that it's going to be kodesh and it goes over the pass of the land of the Samaritans, so the earlier keli doesn't help it. It's the same exact produce. Whereas here, the water before it's mixed with the ashes is just regular water. Now, when it mixes with the ashes, it is it's paraduma water. It's mechatat. It's a whole different thing, and therefore it will work if it was just regular water in a closed, sealed earthenware keli. But if it was already mixed and then it went over, then that wouldn't help. Perhaps that's a proper way of learning. Omar Ula Chavraya Mitikan Bigalila. So what do the people in Galil? They are preparing stuff in the state of Tahara, wine and oil. What are they doing it for? They cannot get it to the temple. Right? What are they doing? So says the Gemara, Manichen, they set it aside. They're waiting for the Olav to come and to purify the strip of the Kuthian land, and this way making a path through it, and this way they'll be able to bring everything they prepared for the Mikdash. Okay, that was the first piece of Gemara. We now move on to the next piece. The Mishnah said, during the pressing season, wine's pressing, we believe the Amaretz, and we can take the Turoma from him, right? Number one, we don't want the Kohen Chaver to lose out. Number two, they are careful at this time. The Gemara now has a question of this. Urminhu, but contrast this with the following Mishnah. Hagomer zetav yishayer kupahat v'tinena la'ani kohen or le'anei kohen, depending on the gear set that you have. Basically, if it's the end of the pressing season, put it in a box and give it to the kohen right away so he can watch it and make sure it doesn't become tameh. Because when the olive oil oozes out, right now it's wet, the produce, and now it can become tameh. So you don't want it to become tameh. So you said give it to the kohen, but why give it to the kohen right away? I thought during the pressing season we trust the Amma Aretz. So Amar Nachman says it depends. Like Kasha, ha becharfein, ha be'aflein. It depends. If it's the beginning of the pressing season, yeah, we trust the coin. But at the end of the pressing season about to be over, we're a little bit worried that the Aretz is not going to be so careful anymore. So therefore, we say give it to the coin right away. Let him do the watching, not you. Amr of Adamar Hava, what's a case of late olives? So he says, like what? So not like your father's house. Apparently, his father's house had late olive, late olive crop. Rav Yosef, Amar Yosef is maybe another answer. Because we're learning in Galil. In Galil, right? The Mishnah is taught in Galil that you can always give it even during the end. And our Mishnah is discussing Judea. And they are trusted. So in the Galil, they're not trusted. Therefore, you have to give it to the Kohen right away. Whereas our Mishnah is discussing Judea, where they are trusted. The Gemara says no. Vaya says, every Adam Galil, Harei Hein, Ke Yehuda, Ne'amanin al Hayayim Mishas Hayayim, Al Hashem Mishas Hashem, Al Hayayim Mishas, Avaloi Al Hayayim Mishas Hashem, Avaloi Al Hashem, Al Mishas Hayayim. So, Ela, Mecharateg, Shinam, Mikara. No, everywhere we believe that during the pressing season, this case is that it's right at the end of the pressing season, so therefore, don't hold on to it, give it right away to the Kohen, so the Kohen can keep a better eye on it, because that's the time they start getting lax about it. Okay. Avru hagitot labadim v'havilo chavit sheyayin like yelena hemenu aval manicha lagat haba. So don't accept it from the Amoritz, the Tirumah, if he comes after the season. But he can hold on to it and bring it back the next season, pressing season, you can accept it from him. The question the Gemara asks is, let's say the Kohen, he transgressed and he accepted it. Mahu shehanena sheyinahena legat haba'ah. So really, we tell the Amrit, you're supposed to go hold it and bring it back to the next pressing season. But let's say the Kohen took it, and now he's going to hold on to it to the next pressing season. Is that okay? So Amr they said Tinutea, actually able to answer this from another Mishnah. Okay, here is the case. You have here the a person who was an Amaretz, and he had two sons. Baruch Hashem, one of them became a Talmid Chacham, he became a Haver, and the other brother is still an Amaretz. Now, the father was an Amaretz, passed away, and in his possession, in his assets, he had some stuff that were Tamer, and some stuff were Tahor, that the Chaver eats everything but Tahara, so he wants to get the Tahor stuff. So how can he manipulate the situation? And when can he not manipulate the situation? So, Chaver Amaretz, Yashu Tavim Amaretz, Yochel Amar, the Chaver can say to his brother Amaretz, To atochitim shema komploini, vani chitin shema komploini. I can take wheat from here, you take wheat from there. To atayayin shema komploini, you take wine from there, ani yayin shema komploini. Basically, you take from the Talmudic, and I'll take from the Taharidic. Okay. But he cannot say, To atalach. You take one style of wet stuff, which are now ready to become tamei, or became tamei. V'ani yavesh, and I'll take the dry stuff that are not tamei for sure. Till atahitin, you take wheat. V'ani seorim, and I take barley. That he cannot do. Why can't he not do that? So there is a gezerah banan. We cannot sell something to a amaretz if he can make it tamei. You don't want to do that. You don't want to listen to evil to so don't give him something that he can make a mistake with. So you don't sell him something tahor that's going to be able to make tamei. So over here is the truth is you can't make any transactions with amaretz for stuff to become tamei. Now, here, when he said you take that, I take this. Listen, when the children get possession of their father, they have a 50-50 claim. There's two boys, right? And everything they have a 50-50 claim. So I take 50 of this percent. You take that. I take the tar. You take that. That's fine. That's what I'm taking. I'm taking my portion. When I say you take the wheat and I take the barley, now I have 50% in the wheat and I have 50% of the barley. If I'm taking all the barley because that's tar, then in essence I'm making a sale, and that is asur. So that you're not allowed to do. But continues the Braita, but Tana Allah, and we learned in this Braita, Oto Haver. So now that he has to take the tamei stuff also, because let's say the whole chitin is tamei, he has 50%, he has to take it. What does he do with it? Oto Haver. Soref halach umeniach et hayavesh. He takes the lach, and if he's a kohen, and it's truma, what does he do with it? He burns it, because although you cannot eat tamadika truma, you can have hana from tamadika truma, so therefore you can use it as fuel. Amai. And now, if the case was you can leave it, why are you burning it? Yinichena legata ba'a. Leave it for the next pressing season, right? If you could just leave it and wait for the next pressing season, just wait. The Mar says kidavar she'ein lo gat. No, it's something that doesn't have a pressing season, like date beer or something else. There is no pressing season in it. Leave it for the holiday, because we're going to see later that the Amaritz is believed during the holiday time. The Gemara says no, you can't leave it to then either. But davar she'ein mishtamer l'regel. The Bryce may be speaking of an item that will not be kept until the festival, and therefore there's no real proof from this. So note 8 on 25B1, the Gemara has deflected Rav Shesh's attempt at the proof. Therefore, the law of the coin accepts true from an Amaretz after the pressing season remains in doubt. He brings down from Tosefot that the coin may set the truma aside until the next pressing season. The Meiri, Tosfos Reed says no, he has to destroy it. So it seems to be somewhat of a machloket rishonim. They don't seem to bring down the Rambam. Let me just see if I missed the Rambam over here. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Let's see. Yep, doesn't seem like the Rambam brings down this halacha. So Taisha says it's okay. The other Rishonim say no. So Tishbi Taras Pishash advice. What's that? Hashem? We'll find out when the Oanovi comes. Okay, fine. Moving on to the next case. Now, the Imamar Hifrashti Litocha Revi'it Kodesh. He says, if I'm planning to give from this Kodesh, then he's also believed for Terumah, even during the year, because he's always believed on Terumah, on Kodesh. So therefore, if he said, I haven't planned to give Kodesh from here, we believe the whole thing is Tahor. Tanan Hatan. Cites a Mishnah now. Mishnah is an Oholot that says, Modim et Shammai ubeit Hillel shebotkin lo'osei Pesach. Ve'en botkin lo'ochlei Terumah. Okay, we're dealing here with a Bet HaParas. A Bet HaParas is a grave that has been plowed over. And there's a fear that there is bones that a person can, touch, or there's a piece of flesh that a person will end up touching and becoming tameh. And therefore, the Chachamim did not let you walk into this area. But for Pesach, they let you to search, make sure there's no bones, and walk through it. But La Truma, they didn't let you do that search to make sure there's no bones. They didn't let you do that. So the Gemara says, "My butkin." What does it mean they were searching? How does one search to make sure there's no bones there? So, Minafech Adam betapras v'holech. Person blows on the ground and walks through. He blows to make sure there's no fragments, and he goes through. The Meiri says he's blowing with a bellow, with an instrument that helps blow more air. This way he can see better. Okay. Rabbi Chia bar Abba mishmei de'ula omar betapras shenidash tahor. Betapras that was trampled by many people is tahor. Therefore, one on the way to make a Pesach, I'm going to check it with whether it's sufficiently trampled. If it is, he may walk over it. Now, why do we let for Pesach and we don't let for Truma? Lo say Pesach, lo midivrei b'makom karet. Two things. Number one, Pesach has a time limit. You got to get to it. If you don't do it, you get karet. Okay, which is a very, very terrible punishment. Le'ochlei Truma, if a person on the way to Truma, first of all, there's no time limit. You can eat the Truma when you can eat Truma. There's no one day for it. And if a person ate Truma with what's it called? Tuma, right? They get what's it called? The Mita B'dei Shamayim, which this is a lesser level than Karet. So therefore, we didn't want them to search, because especially you have more time, it's a lesser punishment. Don't search. Pesach, you have a time frame, and it's a worse punishment. Therefore, search the field, make sure there's no bones, and walk through. So now this is the question. That was all the statements. That's the halacha. So now the question. The guy legitly searched for bones. He's a kohen. He searched. He went through, and for Pesach, and he was tahor. He came to do the Pesach. Now they come to him and they say, "While he's now in Jerusalem, here's truma for you." Now he wants to eat truma. Now for truma, you're not allowed to search the bit of pras, but for Pesach, you were allowed to. So he's here because of Pesach. Now they're giving him truma. So can he also eat the truma based on that searching? Yes, he did everything beheter, so he's allowed to eat the truma. No. But yes, it's good for Pesach, it's not good for truma. So Amarle, Hahusaba, there's a certain older man said to Bar Ula, don't argue with Ula because he knows what he's saying. There's a Mishnah that says like him. Right? What's our Mishnah? Our Mishnah. And if he says, I'm planning to take off Kodesh, and we say, oh, if it's Kodesh, it means it's Taurus, even the Truma is Tar. Mid-Meheman. A-Kodesh Meheman. Nami Truma, because you believe in my Kodesh, we're going to lead him also for Truma. Hachinami. Mid-Meheman. A-Pasach. Meheman Nami A-Truma. So to here, since we believe him on the Pesach, we believe him for the Teruma. Okay? Very good. Now we come to our next Gemara. So the Mishnah said, when it comes to Kedayim Chedei Shemen, when it comes to Kedayim Chedei Shemen, the pots, we believe them during the pressing season. What is going on? This is what the Gemara wants to know. The Tana was taught another brayso, we don't believe them. Loyal kankanim, loyal truma, not on the pots and not on the truma. And ours says we are. What is going on? So the Gemara says kankanim demai. Which jugs? I kankanim the kodesh. If it's the jugs that are used for kodesh, migu de meheman al kodesh. If we trust them on the kodesh, meheman nami I kankanim. Then obviously we're going to trust them on the pot that they're bringing, the jugs that they're bringing. El kankanim the truma. Rather, we're talking about the jugs that are used for truma. And pshita, the law is obvious. Hashta truma lo meheman. Now we don't believe them in truma during the days of the year. Kankanim meheman. We should believe them on their pots. So Ela, this is the case. Berikonim de kodesh ushayim mois hashana. If it's empty, if they had kodesh in there, and now it's not during the pressing season, we're going to consider those pots tame. Even though it just came out the kodesh, it's not during the year, and it came out, so the pots are kodesh. Uvmele in the truma ushata gitod. And by truma, even if it's sold the truma and it's during the pressing season, we're going to say, don't take their pots, their jugs are tame. The truma somehow is still tahar, and the pot is tame. Now, next minute, the Gemara questions this. The Gemara says, "Now we learn the Mishnah. That are mixed up. What does that mean mixed up? My lab meduma'ot the truma. It means usually chulin and truma, right? Something that's tevel that hasn't been given truma yet. That's what it means meduma'ot. No, meduma'ot means meduma'ot like kodesh. It's also mixed with kodesh. Oh, mi'ika demu'ah the kodesh. And who calls demu'ah when it's mixed with kodesh? Gemara says, Amar de Rebbe Eli, the mitaher etivlo li toli menu nisachir. Yeah, he has in there tevel, but his plan is also to give nisachim kodesh from there. And if that's the case, then what? Then since it's kodesh, while it's in there, it's going to be tar. The minute you take it out, it's going to become tameh. Only during the days of the year. If it's during the pressing season and 70 days before, we say that the jugs are kosher, and even if you take out the tar, it's going to take out the kosher, it's still going to remain tar. So let's read it. Since tevel is essentially a mixture of truma and chulin, the term in a mixture is appropriate for mixtures containing tevel. Since a part of the contents is earmarked for sacrificial use, it's regarded as kosher because of the presence of the kodesh. Ours is trusted to attest to the tahara of the jugs, right? Just like we explained. Okay, so it comes to the last piece to explain this previous Mishnah, and with this we'll end. Kodem legitot shiv'im yom, and prior to the wine pressing 70 days, Amar Abaye Shramina Dinahu, Dilave Arsika Arisa Lemetrach Agalpe, that there's obligation upon the sharecroppers to busy himself with the preparation of the vessels. Shivim Yom Ikamei Matarta, 70 days before the pressing. we can enforce them, we can go around and help them, and they start preparing and koshering and mitaharing all their pots. So Be'ezat Hashem, we're going to end over here. It's about two more shiurim, two more lessons on the Gemara, and we should be able to finish up the Masechet. And the plan is to learn Masechet Shabbat next, which will take us a 4 to 5 year project if we learn just once a week.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, but it's a very packed Masechet. There's a lot of stuff. It has 157 dafim. So very important Masechet to learn Masechet Shabbat, so a person knows the sources and the halachot of Shabbat. Be'ezat Hashem.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Yashir Koach, Hatzlacha, Urach.